Somaiya. He is the Chief Executive Officer of White Oak Capital Asset Management. आशीष से तो खैर काफ़ी बातें होती रहती हैं मेरी. And Mr. Hitesh Zaveri, again, I'm meeting you for the first time. He's the Senior Vice President, Head of Listed Equity Alternatives at Access Asset Management. And Mr. Swaroop Mohanty is the CEO of Mere Asset Investment Managers. So let's start then. Obviously, we have about 28 minutes and 40 seconds, so we'll try to wrap up in this time frame. Nilesh bhai, सबसे पहला सवाल यही है कि and I'll try to keep it bilingual कि इस एज में, इस डे एंड एज में फाइनेंशियल लिटरेसी कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है?
मैं बहुत ज़रूरी है अनुज भाई. हमारे संस्कृति में कहा है कि मनी डजंट मैटर एंड पैसों के पीछे मत भागो. गुजराती में कहते हैं पैसा हाथनो मेल छे. बट आई हैव ऑलवेज लाइक व्हाट वॉरेन बफेट सेड, money is not everything in life, money is not important, but make sure that you have made enough money before you make such statement. जब जेब में पैसा होना अनुज भाई तो बहुत सारी मुश्किलें आप फेस कर सकते हो आसानी से, और जेब में पैसा नहीं हो तो सारी मुश्किलें आ जाती हैं.
एक स्टेटमेंट मैंने निलेश भाई के साथ एक पॉडकास्ट किया था, इन दैट यू मेड दिस गुजराती कहावत, वो उससे काफी रिलेटेड है. एक बार जरा यहाँ सुना दी जाए उसके मीनिंग के साथ.
सो जेब में पैसा हो तो आप सेठ नाथालाल कह के बुलाया जाता है, और नहीं हो तो सब यही बोलेंगे नाथिया इधर कर, नाथिया वो कर. तो फैमिली भी रिस्पेक्ट तब देती है जब जेब में पैसा हो. सो प्लीज गिव ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू मनी.
बिल्कुल. ओके, आशीष, यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग टू दिस, टू व्हाट निलेश हैज सेड इन दिस डे एंड एज? हाउ डू यू sort of course this SEBI which is obviously asked mutual funds to spend a lot on financial literacy. Mutual funds themselves are doing a lot, but do you want to add something?
See, I think that the whole, digital interfaces and digital platforms, they definitely make spreading literacy and communicating that much easier. But at the same time, it also complicates, right? Because in the old-fashioned way, there were fewer people communicating and there were fewer modes of communicating. Today, if you ask me, digital platforms are a great tool for spreading literacy, but then it also results in a lot of crossfire and it also results in a lot of unfounded information. Like you said that, say for example, the regulator is telling us to educate the masses. But then at the same time, there is this whole controversy and fiasco about some not so qualified people also trying to educate and influence investors. So I think for investors and for the ecosystem, it's a boon to have all the digital, tools. But at the same time, it does complicate, and one needs to be very careful in terms of how things are conducted.
Okay, Bhargavi, I want you to come in on this with the kind of finfluencers who are coming in. And a lot of them are not registered with SEBI also. So obviously there's a bit of a, you may call it advantage that some of these people have. But how are mutual funds dealing with this phenomenon where, all these unregistered influencers are, and they're quite popular on Instagram. Some of them have, 1 million followers, 2 million followers. And sometimes I worry, I wonder that, I've spent 20 years in the industry and I have 10% of their following. What exactly have these guys done? But they're popular at the end of the day. So your view?
Firstly, I think, thank you for having me here, and it's great to be part of the panel, and good morning, everyone. The finfluencers exist because in traditional financial organizations and setups, we left a gap. By the time our paper and our communication clears legal, compliance, product, and reaches the customer through the right media channels that's aligned to our brand personality, the customer's already bore and has left. Right? We're not talking to them the way they want to be reached. So they exist, and we're in the process of finalizing some of our go-to-market. So I've seen a lot of their videos to shortlist some of them. I dare say I'm far more familiar now than I was 3 months ago with their content. Some of them are extremely accurate, prescient in what they say, and also fairly responsible. And of course, the stock trading or the crypto ones, anyway, I skip because they don't suit our brand. So perhaps I'm also more familiar with the more responsible sort of influences. The SEBI consultation paper clearly delineates. The SEBI chairperson in the media interview said we have no problems if people are educating right? But they're separating those who are educating versus those who are probably speculating. And in every industry, see, RIAs also get pulled up. Mutual fund distributors could do wrong. So I think in every industry, it's time to separate the wheat from the chaff. It's tougher for the customer, especially if it's unregulated. But I think the consultation paper sets good direction, recognizes them as a category. And I think it will evolve in the years to come.
Swaroop, what's your view? Because, you have, of course, mutual fund distributors, right? Which is a category in itself. Are we reaching a stage where finfluencers is going to be one category? Are mutual funds going to, for example, have a set of 5 or 6 finfluencers? Because, let's be honest about it. They are popular, and what they're saying, people are doing. So at the end of the day, while a distributor might get you, some investors, if a finfluencer is getting it done, then, there's temptation to go for that. What's your view?
Anuj, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I think the digital world is a very different world from our erstwhile communication process, as Bhargavi rightly pointed, and it follows you. Today morning I was thinking, मैं क्या बोलूं? My phone prompted that, I spent 5 hours, 23 minutes a day on the phone.
Yeah, mine was 7 hours.
Yeah, so 5 hours, 23 minutes, that is where I need to communicate. And incidentally, I thought I was on Twitter, but my Instagram was more than Twitter, is what my phone told me. So I am an addict at my age of Instagram Reels, which people believe the young are. So obviously, people who communicate there will have a far better reach than people who don't communicate there. The language there is very different. In our office, a colleague of mine did a small video of how to spend the first salary. Young girl did a small video in plain Hindi, got 6.5 million views. Something which we can't get anywhere else. That's the reality. And that's where, when we communicate, of course, financial literacy, Nilesh bhai, in your part of the world, people had money. I come from the East. The reason we were told money was bad, the reality was we didn't have money. So you create this whole thing that, money is bad. But the fact that you need money and the fact that we are getting into an era where we don't have pension is up to us to realize the kind of money we will need when we don't have income or active income. And that need has to start first before we get into mutual funds. वो need आ जाए तो इतना बात करना नहीं पड़ेगा. The problem is there. So if it's the influencer, and there'll be laws behind that. Wherever there is a fiduciary role, there has to be a legal part of it. So all that will fall into place. But I do agree that a fair amount of that influence will happen online, and it should happen. That's the media.
Well, absolutely. All of us are using our phones so much. As you said, 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. By the way, anyone using phone right now here, I have a simple rule. If your phone rings, I'm going to take it and I'm going to auction it to the lowest bidder. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so, let's finish this topic. After that, I have another interesting topic. And Hitesh, you want to weigh in on this, especially now that SEBI is also, there's a lot of discussion on whether these influencers should be registered with SEBI or not, first of all. Whether they should be. SEBI is very clear that, unless you are paying them, there's nothing that, we can do. I mean, at the end of the day, we can, if you're paying them, then you have to be SEBI registered. But, what these influencers are essentially doing is that, their revenue model is something different. They get paid because their videos go viral at the end of the day. And, I am not paying them. I might be getting influenced by what they're saying, but I'm not paying them. And tomorrow they might come and recommend any mutual fund or any stock, but at the end of the day, I'm not paying them. So how do you deal with that?
No, quite a different interpretation of that defense can be taken. But I think maybe the right way to look at it is that, let's say, for example, a one or a few, in reality, many videos go viral that have, in a manner of speaking, misinformation about financial services and so on, and you are making money of it. And it turns out, as Ashish said, that there are people who have been doing that. So it's very... as it is, the reality is that the financial literacy in the country, and by the way, around the world, is low.
Okay, I am the one who's the culprit here. Sorry.
Can I bid?
Yes, please.
So financial literacy. So, by the way, I was just reminded of the financial literacy survey that Charles Schwab does every year. Number one fear, they said, of the parents of high school going children, number one fear that they had, ahead of anything else in the US, was that the children will not be financially literate, which was really shocking when I saw versus. By the way, this was ahead of many of the other bad habits that they worry that kids will get. Financial influencers is what we are doing here, at least in Nexus Mutual Fund, is that we are engaging with financial influencers who are vetted, who are good, who are doing the right things. And I think that is a way to go. That's a way to go, is to kind of promote the right behavior and then obviously actively discourage, because the potential of harm is also very high.
Okay.